So we are currently in Bryan Head, Utah, at which is like 10,000 feet in elevation, where we're staying at a lodge that we've been staying now since all of May. And yeah, we've been editing videos. So anyone that's been following the channel for a while, you know that we're pretty bad about getting videos out, and especially
since traveling.
Yeah, especially since we started traveling, we have been filming lots of videos, but getting them out has been difficult for us because yeah, we're just busy all the time. So we're like 6 months behind on content. So being here, we've been able to crank out a bunch of videos. So we finished 9 videos in total, counting one's already gone live. So we have 8 scheduled. So right now we're scheduling videos until August. And so that's a huge thing that we need as a channel, is like consistent weekly videos. It's been kind of a thing holding us back. So we hopefully are going to have that for a very long time. We have probably, I don't know, like a good few more videos in the mix that are close to being done. So I think we're going to stick with that one video a week now for a while. So Patreon, on Patreon, we have a bunch of videos uploaded. So any of our patrons, if there anybody in the chat, can comment on any of the videos they've seen and what they think about them. I think, our first video going live is tomorrow, and I think, it's just a video going over my accessories on my Scrambler 1200. But after that, we're getting back to like our story videos. We left off in Oklahoma after the Stubborn American Rally, and now leaving there, we went to Roswell, New Mexico. Mm-hmm. So that'll be our next like story video, and it's kind of a fun, lighthearted video. If you saw the trailer, you got a little glimpse of it, and yeah, so the next few videos, basically all our summer videos are going to be kind of like fun videos. They're going to be, there's a lot of our personalities in it.
We definitely had fun shooting the videos. We had also a lot of fun editing the videos. So hopefully you guys have fun watching the videos.
And hi, I'm not going to be able to pronounce your name, man, but that's super cool that you're in Berlin. So yeah, so we have all those videos coming out this summer. Kind of, like I said, some of them are shorter, just fun, pretty fun videos.
Fun videos. And
we'll get to our Mexico fiasco in the fall, specifically what we call the Road of Hell in October, which will be some more dramatic videos. I'm pretty far in on all those videos as far as the edit goes. And like right now, the just one of them is like 45, 50 minutes, and hopefully it's going to be shorter by then, but we still have some work to do on it. So tomorrow we hit the road. So we've, like I said, been here for a while editing videos, just kind of hanging out in a lodge. It's really cold here. It's 40s, 50s most days. It's snowed multiple times since we've been up here, and we've even gone skiing.
My first time skiing. So yeah, it's actually been really great having kind of the colder weather. Funny, we escaped winter by being in Mexico, and then we come up to Bryan Head, Utah in snow for a month, which has been really nice, really great. It's given us a lot of focus to just edit video, and hopefully you guys like that. And now we're about to leave. We're about to make our way a little bit more through Utah, see a little bit more, which I'm really excited about, because the little bit that I've seen of Utah has been absolutely stunning. And then we're going to be heading back west through Nevada into California for a little bit and making our way up to Alaska. So we got a little bit of a road ahead of us.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons we want to get caught up on videos as well, not just to get them out there, because they're just going to keep piling up if we don't get them out there, but also that we don't have to really edit too much the next few months because we're going to be, just busy. I mean, the days that I'm working, we'll have to be somewhere, Monday through Thursday, but outside of those days, we'll be traveling. And on a lot of those days, because the distance from just Seattle to Fairbanks is so big, we're going to have to be traveling like all day on those times. So, and then it gets a little complicated too, because as you start going north, when you cross the border into Canada, you lose service pretty quickly, except for when you're in cities. But then when cities get smaller and smaller and farther away, it becomes a problem for me because I need to work. So, hey, Andrew. So, so not having to edit, we can focus on the travels. And for anyone who's not familiar, Jelly knows I've done Alaska before. I did in 2019 in my street scrambler. So it's going to be Caitlin's first time. And it's going to be great because also I'm familiar enough with it. So I'm like, okay, cool. I got to do a better job than I did last time, bust out the drone more. We invested in a really nice camera. When we got back from Mexico, nobody will know until we get to those videos, really. But I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, we're going to head up to Alaska. We're probably going to spend at least 3 weeks or a month in Alaska. Yeah. Caitlin's going to do the Dalton Highway on her Honda Rebel.
Yeah.
Which after the road to Mexico, I think it's going to be a piece of cake.
Piece of cake.
And
pretty much every road has been about a piece of cake since the road from hell in Mexico. DC 10-8. Well, neither one of us have very large windscreens. It's fine. It's, for me, I don't know much of anything else. I either know with no windscreen or a very small windscreen. The windscreen's just enough to kind of knock it over my head. So for me, mine's just fine.
Yeah, my windscreen mainly just takes some wind blast off my chest, so it alleviates arm strain for if you're on the highway for hours. And then on the Scrambler, it's nice because it also covers up the dashboard, so it doesn't get covered in bugs when you're like in Mexico at one point we were riding through and it felt like someone took a shotgun blast. So we just all of a sudden got hit and it was just like a whole bunch of like wasps or hornets or something like that.
Yeah, bees, wasps.
Yeah, and they were. I mean, it's just like somebody threw a bunch of rocks at me. I mean, it hit me enough to be like, whoa. And luckily, man, there was carnage on the bike. Yeah. I mean, I had multiples in my headlight and the hand guards. And
I luckily was like behind him, so I still got hit plenty, but he took definitely the brunt of it. And yeah, actually, if we make it to Alaska before the very end of June, I would have gone from getting my license last year to riding across the country, Mexico, and then up to Alaska in a year. So
it's pretty impressive for a new rider. This was talking about riding a Honda Rebel off-road, and she doesn't know any better off-road, so all she knows is the Honda Rebel. And yeah, cross country up into Alaska, into Mexico, excuse me. It's quite a bit for a year. So yeah, so she's doing great for a new rider, and she loves California, by the way, because she loves lane splitting.
Yes. Since I got, so South Carolina does a motorcycle permit, and I did have my permit when I first got the Honda Rebel last year. I bought it used at around 9,500 miles. I am over 24,000 now, so I'm approaching 25,000. So whatever that math is, 15,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, about so. And then you should probably put maybe 1,000 miles on that S40 that she had first.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. The Honda Rebel is so much better than the S40.
Fantastic compared to the S40. The S40 was a good bike to at least learn how to ride on. It was fine for that. But of comfort for any kind of long distance riding, and by long distance, I mean anything over 45 minutes, it's great. The Rebel's great.
It's a good bike. I like it. It handles well. It's peppy.
Tractor's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's low to the ground, so like, yeah, it's not an adventure bike, right? Like, any bike can be an adventure bike, take it on an adventure. But as far as like going off road, which is something it's not made for, it does really well on gravel, dirt, sand. It does surprisingly well because those balloonish tires.
Yeah. I did better than him at some points.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have like aggressive tires on it. It has these Pirelli MT60 RSs, which is what the Ducati Scrambler comes on. They're like 80/20s maybe, because there's not a lot of options for a 16-inch wheel. Yeah. We did find one other tire that's like basically a knobby 50/50 tire that maybe we'll put on in Alaska. So in case the Dalton Highway is really muddy, she can, have that going for her. So, but it's a really good bike. The big problem with it, of course, is like lack of ground clearance and lack of suspension travel, which we had an issue with in Mexico. On that one road at times. I probably dropped my bike a lot more just because of the height and the weight and all the stuff on us. And man, we really had to get rid of a lot of stuff when we got back from Mexico. I'm still trying to get rid of if I could lighten up even more, I would, but the camping gear is a lot because I have to work from the road. We got, see you, Andrew. We had, there's a lot of things we have to take because we're camping and we want to camp comfortably because I might be working all day from a campground. So the camping gear takes up a lot of weight. And then the filming, because we rock more than just action cameras. So, now we have a really nice mirrorless camera that replaced our DSLR, action cameras, the drone, 2 laptops, one for work, one for her. So it's all up. What's up, trucker?
LM, we are discussing like for videos like going forward, we're going to do kind of some updates on my bike and stuff with that, and a little bit more of traveling with my perspective and my bike's perspective. So that'll be coming up. So in the works, not in too much of the immediate future, but within the next couple months, we'll be doing some videos definitely on me and my bike.
Somebody just asked about how your Rebel's been holding up. And I mean, it's been we'd break it at one point in Mexico in a weird way, but other than that, it's been great, and it's been put through some serious abuse. So we will definitely do like a video about how that bike has held up, maybe sometime after the Dalton Highway.
For sure,
I feel like that would be good because basically we're gonna go up to Alaska, we do Alaska for a bit, then we come back down. We'll make our way across the U.S. back towards New England. And then eventually let the winter push us back south, so we have done a giant loop, and then we're gonna have to chill out for a bit to make some money. So,
and Trucker Bear, we are currently in Utah, in Southwest Bryan Head, Utah, but we are leaving tomorrow in the morning and checking out the rest of Utah a little bit more, and then heading west to California and making our way up to Alaska.
Yep, we gotta do some. We're doing some stuff this weekend. Like we're going to Valley of the Gods, Utah, which is awesome. And I've been there twice before, but every single time I've gotten there, the sun was setting. So I basically would get there, see the sunset. Like Merrick and I did it in 2017. When we got there, the sun was setting. It was freezing cold. We basically watched the sunset, and then we rode in the dark and froze to death. And then I did on my Alaska trip coming back down, but it's like the same deal as in Moab, working all day. And then by the time I got to Valley of the Gods, the sun was setting. So I had enough time to just kind of like hang out a little bit at Valley of the Gods and then go to Monument Valley. But once again, I didn't do the full 17-mile loop. So that's what we're doing on Saturday. We're doing Valley of the Gods. We're going to camp there, film some stuff there, and do the
Moki Dugway.
Yeah. So,
which is like 3 miles or something of switchbacks, gravel road switchbacks, which I'm a little nervous for, but it sounds fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
That's what we said last time, though.
Yeah, sometimes things are not going right. It's fun for an adventure. It's good to hit some obstacles and try to like overcome some things. Yeah. When we look back in that road in Mexico, I mean, it definitely was like overwhelming. And there's times it was like, we should have done this. I wish you weren't here. It would have been nice not to break my ankle. But it's looking back on it, it makes it a fun little thing.
We're crossing into Canada. I don't know.
A little east of Vancouver. I forget the name of the crossing, but it's what I took in 2019. It's maybe 45 minutes an hour east. So, I mean, as of right now, we're not planning on, at least I'm not planning us going to Vancouver just because it's kind of expensive. Although I'd love to go to Vancouver. But that crossing I did before was super easy, except for the fact that I had a guy chatting to me for a while. just, asked him about the bike, and I still have a Tennessee license from when we lived in Nashville. So he was asking me about like Tennessee and like guns and stuff. And I was like, I don't have any guns. So, and he was disappointed in that. So, yeah, we did that crossing. I want to say it's like Abbott something, but, yeah, a little east of, Vancouver, and, and it's pretty simple crossing. And then it puts us kind of where we need to go anyway, because we cross the border, we'll go a little bit east and then start heading north, towards Prince George. And yes, we're gonna hopefully go to, there as we come back, south, because we want to meet up with, Amanda from As the Magpie Flies, who has a, event, in Montana. So we're trying to make that, and before we do, we'll drop into Idaho, so we can see Idaho, and at least that portion of Idaho, because I mean, we're not super far from the southern portion of Idaho, but we're not going to go the direction. So we got some other ideas, and want to see the redwoods in Northern California, and spend some time in Crescent City, because I really like that spot. But yeah, we'll see. We'll do some stuff in Idaho. When we come back down from Alaska, we're at least going to spend some time in Colorado, and then start making our way east. Depending on finances, we might zigzag around a few states that she hasn't been to. So I've been to 49 states. So the only state I haven't been to is Hawaii, and we're trying to get her to 49 states so that we can do Hawaii together, and we both hit 50 together. So
I still have a good handful left. So
yeah, I don't remember.
We'll see.
I don't remember the number you're at, but like Utah was a new state for her, and then when we hit Oregon, Washington, basically from Oregon on, they're all new states.
Dad, we're gonna be. I need a message, Wendy and them to see, because we might go through on the way back down, maybe to Montana. We might try to stay with Wendy and them in Red Deer, Canada, which will be nice for me to then go through Edmonton and hopefully see that where Grandma was from.
Yeah, it also depends on the wildfires there right now, because they're real bad at the moment. So
and we'll have to let the wildfires and stuff dictate where we can go.
Yeah, that's one thing, is I didn't have any issues previously going to Alaska, going up or down. But if they get some wildfires, there's only so many areas you can go. Oh, nice. If anyone's curious, Trucker Bear is in the motorcycle rally video that I can't think of what it's called.
The
Stubborn American video.
Oh.
Anyhow, there's a couple that we met at the Stubborn American that were cool. Thank you for the shots, by the way. So because going up to Alaska, there's a point where there's only two ways you can go, up or down, and then they merge on the Alcan, and then that's the only way you can go from a point in the Yukon west to Alaska. So that road's usually got construction points, but if for some reason there's wildfires, there can be problems. I think a year or two ago, I saw someone's post that the road was out.
Ooh.
The Alcan was out, like got washed away at one point, and it was out for like a few days. So those things can all
dictate what we do, and if we can go all the way up to Prudhoe Bay or not.
Yeah, hopefully we can, and then we'll make our way back down, and then we'll reassess from there how long we stay on the road. The plan is to head east regardless. It's just about, depends on how fast we head east. We can kind of linger. So we're trying to get to a point. Now we have this really nice camera, and the kind of content we like to watch as consumers are definitely more on the like short film side of things.
Yeah, mini documentary style, if you will.
So we have a few ideas for this year on some people that have very interesting stories. If we can do kind of like mini docs on them, and then if we, the Red River Scramble in late September, early October, I forget which weekend, but I'd love to do like a little mini doc on it in the style of On Any Sunday. So that would be ideal. I'd rather do a lot of filming and capturing the event and telling a story about the event probably than riding.
Okay.
But hopefully I'll still do some riding because I like riding off road in that area. It's fun. I prefer the desert just because it's more open and faster, and Kentucky's a little more slower and I don't know, technical is the right word, but like, there's a lot of creek crossings and mud and you can get some sand and yeah, I do kind of like that little faster paced desert riding.
Mm-hmm.
Although I have to get comfortable with sand again because ever since I broke my ankle in sand, there's a little like kind of like fear every time I see a little bit of sand. It reminds me of that broken ankle. So I have to work on getting comfortable with sand again. So some of the kind of short films we want to do next year, one of them is I really want to do the Biltwell 100. So we did attend it this year. We did film a video for it, but I didn't race it because the time that the tickets went on sale, I wasn't even walking. So it didn't seem like a good idea to try to do it. They sell out in like an hour anyway. But next year, I want to strip all the unnecessary stuff off the bike, like the center stand, the luggage racks, all that. Put really aggressive tires on it, and I want to do the Biltwell 100 and kind of make a little film about that between preparing for it, practicing for it, all that kind of stuff, and then actually doing it. It's a really cool event. I mean, the amount of people there on vintage bikes and Sportsters turned into Dirtsters was insane. I kind of expected like a couple Sportsters, and there was a lot, and they all looked super cool. I don't necessarily want to ride one of them on it, but I figured this year I'll start with the Scrambler 1200. Maybe we'll get a few other people to do it, and yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I gotta get more comfortable in sand again. I felt like I was like middle of the road with sand. The really deep stuff I was scared of, whatever, like the silt in Baja, it was like, that sounds terrifying, but a little bit of sand, like no problem, like getting a little wiggle in the sand, it's all good. It is a little different story when you have a lot of weight on the bike with luggage. That's something I need to get comfortable with. And, it all really stems down to the same issue is confidence. What's up, Merrick? So it's like having that confidence to just, go for it. So it's that hesitation, that lack of confidence. That's usually where you can get yourself into trouble. So, yeah, I mean, probably not going to do too much sand. We do Valley of the Gods would be a little bit of sand, but it's going to be like quick little sand washes. So it's fine. But maybe next year before the Biltwell 100, I'll go back to Arizona, stay with some friends and
do some training,
practice, and
getting comfortable in it.
Mm-hmm. I got to get to the point where I enjoy it, where I'm like, yeah, sand. I prefer the sand over the whoops, and I don't think I'm there right now, but
I personally prefer sand over gravel. Still, I have had some run-ins
crazy
with gravel. Well, my tires do really well in the sand because they're just like big balloons, so kind of pretty easy.
Yeah, weight's down low.
So I did almost eat it though in leaving Trona Pinnacles, and I mean not really, but for me it was because all of a sudden it got squirrely, but it was fine. Didn't go down. It's good.
Yeah. So, anything else? Feel free to, if you got any questions about any stuff coming up. I'd love to hear anyone like Merrick who's seen some of our upcoming videos because he's a patron on Patreon. That's where the patrons live. I'd love to hear if you thought any of the videos were had a favorite among them. But how are you liking the Rebel?
I love the Rebel 500. Compared to the Suzuki S40, it's incredible. Now I can't compare it to other bikes. Like I can't compare it to any of his Triumphs because I've only been on the back because I can't reach anything. I'm very short. So comparing it to other bikes, like I can't say it's better than insert bike here, especially for adventuring. But for me, it's great. It's very comfortable. It gets me in and out of places that if I'm in trouble, so on the road or whatever, it does really great.
Yeah, it's a good bike. Merrick, we'll have to next time we see you, you should just take it for a rip because it for our size, Merrick's 6'2", and I'm about 5'11". I'm like a sliver under 5'11". If I hadn't broken my back so many times, maybe I'd be 6 feet. But and I like it a lot. I mean, if Honda wanted to sponsor us and give me a Honda Rebel 500 that I could customize to raise it up and stuff like that, and turn it into this like adventure cruiser, like really make it like kind of like an adventure bike.
Or yes, the Rebel 1100. I can't say I need the 1100 because I've seen people comment saying like, oh, if if you have the 500, like you can't do highway if you or on anything less than the 1100. It's like, well, that's wrong, because I have passed semis on the interstate going 80, 85 miles an hour. Is it the most comfortable? Not necessarily when doing that, but it's beyond just fine. There's still plenty of power, and
yeah, you don't even use all the power.
yeah, I don't because I don't need to use all the power. So
Sometimes she needs to work on her application of throttle. Could be a little quicker at times.
I do just fine.
But well, you kept up with. So we recently were in Vegas, and we met up with Adam Sandoval for his
Great American Convoy.
Yep. And so we were there, and she rode with them from Hendersonville or Henderson, whatever it is.
Henderson into Vegas from the one Harley dealer to the other. And
I was staying back and get some drone shots. So I wasn't with them, but she definitely was the smallest CC bike by a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I was the only non-Harley there at that point in the convoy, and they were definitely going a lot faster than I was anticipating them to go, and so but did just fine, keeping up and kind of riding through traffic. So it was a fun experience to be a part of, and met some really nice people. Through that. Yeah. More power.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do like the power of the 1200 on my bike, but mainly for me, it was about the suspension travel, the rake angle, the 21-inch front wheel. It was more about like the overall package. The bike I had, but
yes, we do.
Making it more capable off road. Although the trade off is being taller, steel tank, high exhaust. It is a high center of gravity compared to a lot of like adventure bikes that weigh the same, but the center of gravity is a little lower. So, and hello from Albuquerque. Man, we love New Mexico.
Oh yeah, New Mexico is great.
So far in this trip, we haven't stopped in Albuquerque. We spent like a week in Santa Fe, Roswell, Ruidoso, that area a bit. But there's a brewery in Albuquerque.
Broken Arrow?
Yeah.
I think it's Broken Arrow.
Ooh, they had a really good hazy IPA. I like the hazy IPAs, and yeah, I mean it rivals probably my favorite hazy IPA, which is from New Orleans, which I love. I do love the low end torque. I don't ride in sport mode that much. I ride in sport mode once in a while, like kind of to have when you're having fun. And I usually leave it in road mode when I'm on the road. I never use rain mode because I just, throttle hand takes care of it. Although it does change like the traction control and ABS, but whatever. I never need rain mode. I usually use it in road mode because I got to think of, fuel consumption and also tire consumption. So like I have a Metzler Karoo 4 right now on my front, and then I have the Trail Mission Max or whatever the Dunlop tire is. That's They say it's a 50-50, but it's not that aggressive as like a TKC 80 or something like that. But it's pretty good. And really thick mud or sand is where it's going to have some limitations. But that's why I have a more aggressive front. So I tend to stay. That's it. That's not that bad. I would expect a little bit more, but I guess it depends on what you ride. So yeah, I mainly just stick to road mode. Once in a while, I'm in sport mode, and then when I'm off road, I'm either in. Sometimes I'm in just regular off road mode, and then sometimes I'm in off road pro mode. So if I think there's going to be issues where the traction control might kick in and cut out, I'll just put in off road pro mode. Otherwise, I'm not a pro, so off road mode would probably be the better road for me. It just depends, because sand, I don't know. There's certain terrains that I've gone straight to like everything's off, so I go to off road pro mode, just because I'm worried about like I don't want to plow into sand, and then the traction control kicks in, and then it just loses power, and then I in the front end tucks, and then down I go. So if I know there's going to be sand, off road pro mode, I just play it. I play it. To me, that's playing it safe, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I don't need to do that. But when we do Valley of the Gods on Saturday, I will probably just have an off-road mode. It'll probably be fine because it shouldn't be too much sand. It should just be like kind of quick little sand washes. But yeah. Yeah. I don't know if we have anything else to say. So if anyone's got questions, feel free to drop them on us.
We saw Albuquerque. We took from Santa Fe, we took the Turquoise Trail to, now I forgot what it was called, but it kind of some mountain peak, and we rode up. It was like, I think 11,000 feet in elevation, and we could look down and actually see Albuquerque in the distance. That was pretty neat. So, but we didn't have time with our schedule to go down there. That sounds correct. Yeah, Sandia Peak. Yep.
Makes sense.
That's where we went.
And yeah, getting Caitlin on a kid-sized dirt bike would be great.
I think it would make me a better rider if I learned just how to have more control over the bike in general, particularly if we are going off-road, just kind of to feel comfortable, because part of it is like the bike is weighty, and also it's my travel bike, so I don't want to push it out of my limits. I don't want to not be overly cautious in a way, which I know can, particularly off-road, can actually be more of a detriment if you're over cautious, because then you're not giving enough power and blah blah blah. So all that technical stuff.
Yeah, I mean it would be. I think Caitlin would do really well on a dirt bike because of like she's got a dancing background. So I think moving around her weight, balancing, she'd be really good at that kind of stuff. It would be really great. I think. Did you try it when we were at Ryan's? Did you throw a leg over the TW 200? That was his wife's bike with the fat wheels too. I think that's gonna be too tall for her. But I would love to see if we can get her on an XT 250 or the older XT 225, because that's a pretty low seat height. And then if the suspension set right and it sags enough, and then we might need to do a lowering link. But if we get a seat height, we get a bike with a seat height down to we need it like 27-inch range. We need to get around there. So, but if the suspension's set right, then all good. Okay, so CRF 300 rally from North Cal to Prudhoe Bay next week. Oh man, how long are you taking to get to Prudhoe Bay? Because we're gonna be just behind you. Man, it'd be so cool. So must see in Canada. There's if you take the Alcan up or down when you're in British Columbia, there's a hot spring somewhere off the Alcan. Now, when I went up through Canada, I just kind of had to get to Alaska as soon as possible. So I didn't really do too much sightseeing. Mm-hmm. I did stop at the Signpost Forest, which would be just in the Yukon if you're coming from the Alcan. And if you take is it Cassiar Highway? Whichever the road is, if you go west from Prince George and you go up past like Belle to that ends up in, I think it's Nugget City, Yukon. If you just go east a couple miles, there's the the signpost forest is there, and it's something cool to see. But I mean, really, the big thing to see that like when you're in the Yukon and then you get to Alaska, it's just how remote it's going to be. It's beautiful. You're going to see some probably wildlife. I saw a couple. What's the plural for moose? Is it mooses?
I
saw
think
a
so.
couple
It's not
mooses.
meese.
Yeah, I saw a couple mooses, and then
Mooses.
mooses, and then 2-3 weeks. Yeah, you'll
You'll
we'll
still be
probably
ahead of
pass
us.
you.
Maybe on the
yeah.
swapping.
And yeah, you'll see a lot of bears, but it'll be fine. The half of them will just stand on the side of the road and stare at you. The other half will hear your engine and run away. But it'll be fine. And the CRF, I mean, that's a cool bike, so that's good for that.
And
First whiskey throttle.
I don't think so.
No, I mean, no, she's pretty good about if she does like do something where she hits the throttle, she pulls in the clutch.
Yeah.
So no whiskey throttle, accidental revs, sure, but that happens.
Yeah, I'm pretty cautious overall with that. Like, I've seen enough videos of what not to do from people, so yeah, I don't think so.
No, neither one of us has ever. I don't think I've ever had a whiskey throttle moment. I've had other scares. I've had a tank slapper on a highway one time really bad going from Tucson to Phoenix years ago on my street scrambler, but no whiskey throttle. So Caitlin's actually done really good as a new rider. She she hasn't really made any of that new rider mistakes. Maybe once or twice she stalled in a turn and then dropped the bike because of it.
I was gonna say, it's like, I mean,
yeah, that's not that bad though. I mean, more serious like whiskey throttling and crashing, or
riding off the road.
Yeah,
not committing
to a turn and like not taking it sharp enough and then just slowly going off the road. So yeah, she's never broken an ankle yet. Hopefully never.
Nothing yet.
So, yeah, she's done really well. 2-3 weeks. I live in Nick. I'm trying to think. I'm thinking we're getting to Northern California in a week. So I think next week we're spending time in like east of Salt Lake City, and then that weekend by the end of next weekend we will be in Northern California. We'll be in Crescent City by Sunday. Yeah, I'm curious, like exactly when you're leaving, because we might somewhere around there be. We won't, if you're taking 3 weeks off, you're not working. Like I have to work. You'll definitely get to Alaska before us, because we're not planning on being in Alaska until like end of June. Potentially we're going to hit Alaska a little earlier than planned, but our main thing is to get to Alaska. We want to be there for the 4th of July.
So that Anchorage area.
Yep. That way we can see the event where they launch the cars off the cliff and do a story on that, and then we'll do the Dalton Highway a little bit after that, and then maybe we'll do the Dempster. It's gonna depend. So, yeah, I mean, just this traveling alone, this was her 21st state on a motorcycle.
Yep.
So she's ridden
specifically on the motorcycle.
Yeah. So she's ridden in 21 states. She's ridden 15,000 miles so far in like a year.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's pretty good. Definitely doing better than like your fair weather, Sunday rider or something like that. Yeah. Which is good, because the more you ride, the kind of the safer you get. In my opinion, like it's just that mastering that skill, becoming second nature. Like I remember when she got that Rebel. So when Caitlin got the Honda Rebel, we picked it up on a Sunday, and she only had a permit. And then on that, what was it, Wednesday or Tuesday, or a couple of days later, she rode it down to Tampa, Florida.
Yeah. Thursday, I think Wednesday or Thursday we left for that. Yeah.
And so that was her first time. That was her biggest trip at that time, because it was 1,000
miles round trip over 4 days that we did to Tampa, Florida. and it was good. It was fine. And then after I got my license in June, then about 2 days after that, we rode 1,000 miles in 2 days from Charleston to Connecticut, and we're had some family stuff on his side kind of going on, so we rode the bikes up there, and
Yeah, we almost moved to Connecticut. It was close.
that was a rough 2 days. I was in so much pain just from sitting on the bike. That was a bit much, and but you got to work up to things. And
But
for
how
me,
far how far she's come as a rider is that, like, that trip to Tampa, she would get nervous at the start of the day, and she'd be like, "Oh, I don't know." She'd get so nervous, and she'd get all worked up, and then once she gets on the road, her nerves kind of chill out, and she'd be fine. And then the next day, the nerves came back in the morning, and they chilled out after a couple, an hour or so on the highway. And now she's gone from that to, like, when we were in California, because I had to be in California for work, for the NAMM show. So we were in California for about 3 weeks total. And
I would have chosen the pond as well, by the way.
And
I would have just let go of the bike.
and
That's my thing. I would
yeah,
have just
good
let
choice.
go.
Yeah, pond's a good choice. So we got to California, and it was like, okay, lane splitting's legal, so let's do it. And so as soon as we started doing it, Caitlin was like, "Yes, this is the way." And sometimes I would be a little more, like, apprehensive. Like, I'd be like, I don't know, my handlebars are wide and, like, it looks kind of tight. And she'd be like, "No, we're fine." And she'd just go right ahead, and she'd lead the way. And yeah,
Oh my
so
gosh, I felt so much safer actually lane splitting, particularly when there's so much traffic and they're either not moving or creeping along. That fine. Totally fine going 20, 25 miles an hour, just at least constantly moving, not a big deal. It was when we would have to ride when there still a lot of traffic but everything's moving. That was nuts. Like I've hated that. That I felt so unsafe. That was much scarier. So I'm like, oh, give me lane splitting any day. I felt so much safer between lane splitting and filtering, like just being able to, when you're approaching the red light, ride through and get up to the front. I felt so much safer because I know at least at that end of the day, I'm not going to be rear-ended by somebody who's texting and not seeing me, because particularly me being small, my bike is small, and just it. I understand sometimes it's hard for your brain to recognize things. It's not malicious always, or it's maybe they're not even distracted on their cell phone. They're just their brain is not registering the bike. So at least I know I'm safe doing that. So
but it's crazy that she's come from, like, a year before. She was on that Tampa trip, and she was like,
freaking out.
I'm getting nervous. Like the beginning of the day, she gets so nervous. And now, a year later, basically, she was in California, just right between all the cars. I was like, "Hey, chill out a little bit. You're going kind of fast," and she was super confident, and
ever.
yeah, but she was confident, and she was doing well. So
Yep.
It's really good. Yeah, and then never mind, like, riding off road. I mean, when we like Trona Pinnacles. I mean, the Trona Pinnacles, the road trim is fine, but there were some parts where it's like, a sandy wash for a little bit, and she just, I'm going right ahead, and it's like I'd be like, I don't know, this is how I broke my ankle. I'd be getting all nervous, and she would just go right ahead. So I think,
just with anything, the more you do it, then just the more practice that you get. You can't learn how to get through certain situations without doing it. So I hate the wind. Like when we were coming back to Utah from Vegas just a couple weeks ago, and hit kind of the edge of a storm, and the wind was really bad, and obviously I was doing something wrong, but like I'm leaning as far as I can into the winds, and because that's how strong it is, and I was still getting blown into the other lane. I literally got blown into the other lane. So thank God there weren't any cars right there. They were behind me, and they obviously saw me struggling, so they had backed off, which I really appreciate. that was petrifying because I'm like, what if something happens? I don't know what to do. And so now going forward, like, okay, I probably had my arms a little too stiff and just needed to turn maybe my handlebar a little bit more to keep me in my lane. But at the time, I was like, I was freaking out and I didn't know what to do. But the only way you can learn that is by doing it. So
Yeah, a little more nervous in the
experience.
wind than off road.
God, yeah, the wind is worse than off road. Give
Um,
me sand over wind. Like,
I'm curious. Like, I think there's a good chance that she's taken a Honda Rebel on the worst road of Honda Rebel has ever seen. I don't know if anyone's done rock gardens and 30 river crossings and all that on a Honda Rebel. And then when we go to Alaska and we do the Dalton Highway to Prudhoe Bay, I imagine that's going to be the first Honda Rebel to ever done Dalton Highway. I know. So I'm not. I didn't take the first Scrambler in the Dalton Highway, but I took the first street Scrambler on the Dalton Highway. But I'm pretty sure she'll be the first Honda Rebel on the Dalton Highway. That's super unlikely to have happened before. Trucker Bear. So most of it goes to us. There's like I don't know, like a 30-cent transaction fee from any transaction, no matter the amount. So even like a $2 pledge loses like 30 cents. And then it's like a percentage after that, which I don't remember exactly. It's like 9 or something. So I think like at the top tier amount, the executive producer, which is like $25, I think we get like 23 and some change. So that's pretty good. Like I think at the $2 amount, we get like $1.60 or something like that. So we get most of it. So it's pretty good. We don't have to worry about it. And of course, anyone who signs up for Patreon, our second video in June will show it, but we have patrons there'll be an end credits now. And we have 8 videos that are currently live on Patreon, and they're fun videos. Roswell's fun. I think Hotel Congress was the last one we uploaded. I think that one's real fun. So there's some good ones. There's actually a video of us riding from New Mexico to Arizona and going through a pretty bad storm. So that was I mean, there was a hailstorm, thunderstorm, lightning, rain, real bad winds. I mean, that area of New Mexico like always has bad. He drives the truck around the country. So, but yeah, I mean, on Caitlin wasn't super happy with that one.
Nope, not super happy, but at least it was rainstorms versus sandstorms, so that I guess is better. I don't know. At least I didn't get sand in my eyes, so that's good.
And speaking of Patreon, so like so we launched a Patreon, and it was super awesome. A bunch of people like Merrick here signed up, and what's cool about that is it really helps us out because like now we're bringing in like $90 to $100 a month from Patreon, and that covers a lot of the YouTube expenses, because I mean, not counting like the amount of money we spent over the years on camera gear. When you factor in that in, we're definitely in the hole when it comes to YouTube. But we
for the Adobe Suite,
yeah, the Adobe Suite's like $60. Epidemic Sound's $15. So like we have a cost just to have a channel that's like, I don't know, $80 or so. And then sometimes our AdSense revenue is like $50-$60, and sometimes it's more. But now, because of Patreon, we're always going to be like in the green instead of being sometimes in the red. So now, like,
thank you.
Yeah. So thank you. So yeah, the AdSense is extra now. So even if it's only $50, and it's something. Yeah, it's not paying for our travels, but
oh yeah, it was some of the best friends in Arizona.
Yeah, except for Yuma. People in Yuma are
crazy.
No. How you doing, Greg? So yeah, but that's cool. So now we'll kind of always be in the green, and then hopefully going forward, our channel does really well this summer because we'll have weekly videos, and that's a big thing for us that we never have. So like a video does well and we have nothing to follow it up with. So now, hopefully that does well. We're approaching 9,000 subscribers. I think by probably the end of June, if not sooner, we'll be at 9,000 subscribers. Not that really subscribers matter anymore. They don't. And but we'll get close to, I'm assuming by the end of the year, if not sooner, we'll be at 10,000 subscribers, which is cool. Doesn't really matter anymore. It's just kind of a vanity metric at this point, but it's still cool. And, it shows that like maybe we're going in the right direction, and, we're still slowly climbing our way up.
Yeah.
And maybe one day we'll be the next Itchy Boots, if you're going to have, it takes 2 boots to complete a person, not one. So, it's an advantage, right? So, we keep getting better at creating stories and filming and editing and blah, 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 blah. So yeah, we'll see. The big goal for us is start having consistent like views per month. To be consistent at 100,000 views per month or over would be good. We've done it before, but not consecutively. We're usually kind of around 20 or 30,000, sometimes a little bit more, but we're never consistent. So that's, hopefully going to be the big thing. And then the goal from there is keep moving it up and up and up. So yeah.
Any more questions?
By the way, I'm not wearing pants.
We're doing laundry. Actually, the dryer is done, so it's been done, but should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wearing boxers, but the pants. We're so tonight we are really gonna be packing. We're trying to hit the road pretty early, and because we have a kind of a lot to do tomorrow. We don't have that much to do. We're going to Bryce tomorrow and the Singing Canyon, but we also don't officially have a place to stay. We're trying to get to a campground that is kind of like first come first serve, and all that goes.
The full Donald Duck. I mean, he is wearing boxers. He's not one of those.
Well, Merrick, I do think that's a cool bike. I would like to ride one if someone I know gets one, or for some reason, one of these days, a company invites us to something. We're really good about like going under the radar, and yeah, we're not really good. Reach out to brands and they like, nope. So
silence.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll see.
America is the only way. It was nice being on the back of it. It was very comfortable. It was very different than being on the back whenever I'm back on the back of a Scrambler. So
yeah, so Greg, who we met in the Stubborn American, who has a Pan American or America, and
American.
We're gonna start a fight between Greg and Merrick. So anyhow, when we stayed with him in Yuma after we came back into Mexico, he let me ride it around. And not only was that my first time on that bike, it was actually my first time on a Harley. Now, it was a little bit weird being on that my first Harley because like it was actually really smooth. It's not what you expect from a Harley. So definitely got to ride an older Harley sometime.
It didn't say potato.
Yeah. Well, so so that bike, to me, that bike was like, as far as like touring around the country on it, it'd be great because it got up to like 90, 100, and it didn't even realize it because the wind protection was so much better than what I'm used to. Really comfortable for 2-up. It's great on the road. Huge props to Greg for taking it off-road because I'm sure it does pretty well off-road considering, but I get back on my Scrambler and it was like throwing my leg over a dirt bike in comparison. It was just crazy. And, but when Greg first took that off road, which we have a video on our channel, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 videos back. And Greg and I went riding with Adam on some trails in Oklahoma. And at first it was just kind of like some cool, like dirt gravel roads. And and then he took us to this like cabin that they're building for a friend. And that was pretty gnarly. I would definitely call that intermediate stuff. It was a lot of rocks, and
nice, Greg.
And Greg, I don't know if you've ever been off-road before. I know on that bike, it was your first time off-road, but I don't think you've never been like on a dirt bike or anything before, right? So uh, riding behind Greg and then riding that bike, months later, it definitely was like, damn, dude, I'm actually pretty impressed. Like, I look back at that time of us riding with Adam, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty impressive on those rocks. The first part of it, nah, it's fine. But that second part, when we went to that cabin and where I ended up losing the bike at one point, like actually in a pretty easy spot, and then I couldn't pick the bike up because it was like slightly downhill, and my bike's so awkward to pick up.
Yes, it is,
because it lays so flat and then it's so tall.
All the weight is up high, so just trying to get that leverage is struggle.
It's tricky. I mean, we just laid it over like a week ago, because I've had a warped front brake rotor since Mexico. Like
probably the road from hell.
Yeah, no, Mexico, for sure. Because there's a point where I was like, I can't front brake. It's So basically, the rotor was like warped, and the Scrambler 200's got two, twin disc brakes, and so because one was warped, you grab the front brake and it's hitting the piston open, and then it probably pushes the fluid back up, so neither brake engages. So I haven't had front brakes since Insurgentes. Yeah. And then so then we went to La Paz, rode on that broken ankle. And then after I could ride again after the surgery and all the healing, we rode down to Cabo, and then we rode back up. And so all of that, no front brake. And then all the riding we've done so far back in the US, no front brake.
Up until literally maybe a week ago.
Yeah. So
we finally got this new front rotor.
Which I'm really happy about, because it was like, when I bought it from the Triumph dealer in Vegas when we were there the first time, and then it came in by the time we went to go see Adam. So at that point, I asked him, like, of course I was like, hey, can I just do you have like a lift I could throw this on for a second and do it real quick? And they're like, no. All right, fine. Like, do you have time to throw it on your lift, and I'll pay you, and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, they couldn't squeeze me in that day. It's like a 15-minute job. They couldn't squeeze me in that day. And they were like, we could probably do it the next day, but it was kind of one of those things where I don't want to be stuck kind of relying on them. And we were doing a bunch of stuff, and I was like, yeah, screw them. I'll just take care of it when we get back to Brian Head, and if I can borrow a car jack from someone, then great. If not, we'll just push the bike over and take the wheel off. And that's what we did. And it's great now. It's fixed, and I saved $125-$30 in labor that the Vegas dealer would have charged. So for a half an hour of work, they would have scheduled it as half an hour, but it's like 15 minutes at lift. So happy to have done that myself and save the money. Anytime I can do anything on the bike myself, it's a good feeling. Not to plus it was done right. Well, hopefully it was done right.
Yeah.
I don't always know it was done right, but in that case, I know it was done right. So it was dope. All right. Well, anybody got any lingering question? Yeah, the center stand on the Scrambler 200 is aftermarket. So it's not like a GS 1200 where it's pretty well balanced, where you can just put a little bit of weight on the back and the front end comes up. But to be fair, we didn't even try to put it on the center stand and put a bunch of weight on the back. Maybe we could have done the center stand and then put Caitlin sitting on the back, and maybe if she was in the passenger seat, it was enough weight to tip it over. But we just took it off and laid it down, took it off. It's fine. It works.
We were very gentle laying it down, and we were gentle bringing it back up, so it was fine. Did you ride more defensively? I know. I mean, I generally lead anyway because I'm actually faster at riding when I'm leading than.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
I like to give myself distance in case something ever happens and he goes down. It gives me more time to react, so I don't screw up or run him over.
Versus I'm like a fighter pilot. I'm like right on her, right behind her.
It gives me anxiety because
so I get the good shots.
I mean, I'm fine for straightaways. It's just when it's.
Yeah, I tried to know the rear brake on the Scrambler works great.
Yeah.
between downshifting and the rear brake, it wasn't that big of a deal. In an emergency, if somebody just pulled out in front of me, it could have been a bad problem. But no, I just kind of, I mean, I feel like I ride super defensively anyway, as far as like, I'm just like not even thinking about it. I know everything's going on. I'm paying attention. And
I don't think he likes to go down a lot, but it's just, you never know.
I don't think he's talking about the bike.
Oh, whatever.
So, but yeah, I mean, I just gave myself more stopping power, and then reacted, and it was fine. If a car had pulled out in front of me, I would have maybe been in trouble. But so one time I rode a vintage Triumph Trident that I did the first test ride on it. This guy we knew in New Orleans had ordered it from California, and it showed up, and like we couldn't even figure out how to start it at first. And then I took it around the block and found out the hard way that the front brakes were like not calibrated at all, because it's like drum brakes. And actually that year it's supposed to have disc brakes, but it was kind of an incomplete restoration. The Trident in '73 had disc brakes, and this had like just a regular Bonneville front end that had drum brakes on it, and they were not calibrated. So you squeeze that front brake, nothing happened. So the rear brake was really good, and the engine stopping was great. The problem is the shifter and the rear brake are swapped on old Triumphs. So it's like getting that so like I came up to a light and I'm grabbing the front brake and nothing's happening. And I'm like, oh shit. So I'm kind of panicking, not panicking, but I kind of revert to your normal, what you would react to. And I'm trying to step on the shifter to brake, and that's not working.
Yeah.
So that was a bit, and then I got used to it. So yeah, it wasn't that big a deal not having a front brake, but it is really nice having a front brake now, because going down the mountain here, was a little sketch. One of the times my rear brake was something that kind of going in all of a sudden, and I was like,
the fat tires situation, like on that road from hell, I definitely felt like I was bouncing all over the place at times when some of the rocks were just, I couldn't try to stay in my lane if I tried. Like, I want to go that way because that looks like an easier path, and I'd hit a rock and I'd be bounced over onto the other side of the track where I didn't want to be. And yeah, that was annoying. That was really frustrating for sure, that the bouncing, and I just felt like I really should have just at one point stopped. But then for how that road was, is I couldn't always touch the ground because we were basically sometimes riding through a riverbed. And so I was like, if I stop, I'm probably not getting started again. So that was always the hardest part, is if I did have to stop getting started again and just being bounced all over the place, I felt like I couldn't go any faster, or else I would be off into the even bigger rocks and boulders, and didn't want to kill myself.
I mean, who can say they rode a Honda Rebel in rock gardens in Mexico?
I can't.
Yep, she can, and I can too.
Oh, and he broke his ankle, not just a tip over. It was pretty bad. He was going pretty fast at that point, because we were almost out of the desert, and I had already broken my bike a while back. So I'm in the truck with Francisco, and thanks, Francisco, if you ever see this. And it was pretty gnarly crash. Not quite like the flying crash that he did, where then he's just
it was slower than that one in Reddington Road, but I probably tucked my front end at like 20 to 25 miles per hour, and that was kind of the problem. Is I just instant kind of put my foot down as if I was going to dab and save it at that speed, and my leg went backwards and twisted, and then the bike went down real hard, and because I didn't have the bags on, that steel rack just whacked me right on the ankle, and of course broke it. But I didn't know that for about nine days. So I don't use sport mode when touring. I honestly don't use sport mode that much. Sport mode for me is like hooligan fun mode. Like the Scrambler 200 power wheelies in sport mode. Not with the way my suspension is currently set up, but At least not if I don't have the luggage on the bike. But sport mode is fun, but because of like tires, trying not to, as we're traveling, not to wear them down too fast, I don't do sport mode too much. Every now and then, like, I mean, I just had it in sport mode recently, and I forget why. I forget what we did.
I don't know.
But I put it in sport mode just because I was having fun, and then I kind of left it in sport mode and forgot about it. But yeah, sport mode, it's like fun mode. I don't use it all the time. Every now and then, when I really want to have fun.
And the Forgotten Angels, yeah, that was actually my trip down to Tampa last year, March, when like right after I'd gotten the bike, was down to the Forgotten Angels camp out, and our first time going, and well, so far the only time we've been able to go. And yes, I think they do typically do something in both March and October.
Yeah, they do.
Um,
So I think it used to be October 1st, really, and then they started doing October and March.
We got there kind of late in the day, so we were trying to find good spot to set up the tent and stuff. And so we're like, oh, this is fine. We'll be further away, and still had some loud partiers near us when we were
we didn't sleep that night.
We were exhausted at that point.
Yeah, I mean, so March of next year is well, maybe not, because that might be I might be in Arizona if I'm practicing for the Biltwell 100 at that point. I would, if we can, we'll go, because if we're gonna probably settle back down in New Orleans for a bit. The goal is like by the end of this year, so by September we'll have been on the road for a year. We're about to hit 9 months in like 10 days, and so the goal is the end of the year we kind of settle back down in New Orleans. She gets a job because we've been living off my income, and with the surgery and stuff like that, we've racked up some debt. So we're trying to, we're gonna pay off all the bills, save up as much money as possible for like a year or two in New Orleans, and then hopefully we ship the bikes to Europe and we start traveling around the world. And I quit my job. That's the goal. Save enough money that I can quit my job for at least a couple, like year or two, and then hopefully. Hopefully I can keep building up YouTube and kind of go full time with it. That's the goal. And while we're in New Orleans and we're settled down, we're going to probably, take apart our bikes, do some maintenance, but also we're going to probably make some changes, specifically Caitlin's bike. Like maybe we'll change the handlebars and get her some bark busters and just make it more robust for riding off road, because we didn't have to do the Road of Hell in Baja, but we assumingly we do like Mongolia and certain places, we are going to have
we're not going to have a choice in the matter necessarily. And wet red clay.
Well, you have.
I was like, we have. I don't think I have.
You haven't. That Kentucky's got the red clay.
Gotcha. No, I stuck to the roads there. Hello.
It's not too bad until it's super. Hey, Jess. It's not too bad until it's super muddy. No, I never wish for a shaft drive bike. I mean, I'm not against it either, but the chain maintenance is fine.
It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. Once you get like a DID chain, like my first Triumph, I was like super savvy with the chain maintenance, and it went through it pretty quick because it was a stock OEM chain. Although the Scrambler 200 OEM chain was really good, but once I put a DID chain on my Scrambler 1200, which I did in Arizona before we went to Mexico, it's great. Like barely needs to be adjusted. Clean it every now and then, lube it every now and then. It's fine. So not really a big deal. The 1200 gas tank was totally sufficient for Baja. There was no fuel tank issues, or as far as the
not having enough gas from spot to spot.
As far as the fuel consumption, we're very serious people. You know this.
Yeah.
So
very serious people.
Yeah. So when we do the Dalton Highway, there's a stretch about 240 miles where there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. So we're going to need to bring fuel. So we bought a 3-gallon bag from Giant Loop.
Yeah.
Now we might need more than 3 gallons between the two of us, but we're going to be doing some testing to see. In Baja, no problem. I think even the one spot where that one gas station on 5 is maybe not open, no problem.
Yeah.
There's not really on the 1200. There's no real need for like extra fuel in Baja, but on the Dalton Highway, I'm sure I'm going to need extra fuel. The real question comes down to how much extra fuel am I going to need? Am I going to need like 2 gallons? And she takes, I feel like she's going to need 2 gallons. So hopefully I'm going to need 1.5 gallons, because that's 240 miles and there's nothing. So if you run out of gas, like unless someone's passing by with a little extra gas, they can give up.
You're up a creek.
Yeah. So, but we're gonna be doing some testing.
Yeah, we're gonna
the next month, couple times.
We're gonna test.
See how
we do
far we
also
can go.
have our two. We both have a 1 liter can, so for what it's worth.
Yeah. So basically, we have 3.5 gallons of fuel that we can take with us on the Dalton, which probably is going to be enough, but I feel like it's going to be just cutting it close because it depends on the speed. There's a speed limit in the Dalton of like 50 miles per hour. I mean, it's not really any cops there, so you can do what you want, but I don't imagine we're going too much faster than that for the Honda Rebels. So I think we'll probably be okay, but we'll do some testing. We'll find out. And then we'll see. But in Baja, no problems at all.
Landing in New Orleans, probably the end of the year. I'm kind of voting for after Christmas. Just, if we're not kind of heading back south, like might as well, if able to, spend time with family for the holidays, and then kind of. But I hate moving at Christmas. We've done it too much, but it is what it is. If we're going back to New Orleans, the best thing would be for me to get a job right away. Come Mardi Gras season and events season basically starts January, February-ish, and can hopefully make a good amount of money and just work, and and get some of this medical bills and whatnot paid off very quickly. That's the goal. That's the dream.
Have we ever accidentally meeting up with the overland community? I mean, I never thought about it. I mean, I don't know how accidentally meet up, but I mean, I'm not against it. It's just like, because we're kind of a small channel still, we don't really get invites to. We've never got an invite to anything.
Nobody likes us.
I mean, no, no, not to throw shade at Triumph, but they had an event in Tucson, and they had, the channel at the time we were even like I wasn't even at 5,000 subscribers yet, so I'm not really butthurt about it. But I did ride one of their bikes all the way to the Arctic Ocean, so
did the ultimate coast to coast challenge on it.
Yeah, so and they found out they invited some people that were like would be considered smaller channels, stuff like that. So I was like, whatever. But they invited specific people for specific reasons and whatever. But I mean, I've reached out to some podcasts before, but about doing some stuff. I'm going to try again in the fall when we can talk about the road.
Road from hell.
Yeah, our whole fiasco in Mexico and what it was like to break an ankle and surgery in Mexico, and then hopefully
Dalton Highway will go smooth sailing, and it should.
I mean, it's okay if it doesn't depend, as long as we don't die. But so I'm all ears for any way to gain exposure, just because like the biggest thing. I don't know how many people like dive into their YouTube stuff here, but like on the analytics side, we hit a lot of the right numbers, but we just need to get bigger spotlight on ourselves to help. We need visibility, and then that'd be great. So I'm all ears for anything that kind of gets us visibility, because that would be helpful. Okay, I feel like I'm getting behind here. Oh yeah, you guys are talking about red clay and all that. Jess, we'd love to go to Cave River again. Not going to happen this year because we'll be in Massachusetts or actually might even be that might be in the same weekend at the Red River Scramble. So we'll either be in Kentucky or Massachusetts. But next year, if we can leave New Orleans and ride to Oklahoma, then we are for sure. See you, Greg. We
No,
for sure
I
will
was
go to Red River.
making sure our dinner
River.
wasn't burning. So crock pot.
Yeah, it's nice to Scott to be able to travel. You know, it's tough to work and travel. It's not always the easiest thing. I mean, it's really kind of tough to like edit videos and travel and do that kind of stuff. But it's nice to also, you know,
it's been really beautiful.
in a
Everything that
perfect
we've
world,
seen.
she'd have a remote job too.
Yeah.
And then we'll be doing better on the income side of things.
In a perfect world,
Or
we'd
YouTube
already
would be doing better.
super
Yeah.
successful on YouTube and have editors and all of that stuff and have a film crew, so we wouldn't have to worry about anything. But it's not a perfect world.
Oh no, Jess, is that your surgery? I assume.
Yep, her surgery because she's shoulder. I don't remember right or left, but
bummer. So on my Scrambler 1200 Ducati Tech, I have like 30,000 miles, somewhere around there. And then on my Street Scrambler, I have like 50, a little over 50, 52 or something. When we settle in New Orleans, my plan is to probably ride the Street Scrambler again more to get that to keep the 1200 lower because that's what we'll take around the world. But to so I'll ride the Street Scrambler more when we're in New Orleans, except for, you know, specific things. Like I'm going to do the Biltwell 100 on the 1200 because they'll be the most capable for it. So, but I also got to decide what I'm doing with my Street Scrambler because I mean, I'm not getting rid of it, but when it comes to it, like being a scrambler, the 1200 just like it's just so much better. So either I'm going to turn it into like a flat track bike because we love American flat track, or I will try to turn it into a more retro looking bike. There's somebody that I saw online that took a Street Scrambler and they made it look like an old TR6C, and they did a really good job on it.
Bye, Scott.
Bye, Scott.
I'm glad you made it home from work.
Yeah. So yeah. So, but the 1200s is the one I'm going to take around the world. So whenever we get back, I imagine I'm going to probably be at close to 40,000 miles. Yeah, probably over 40. And you'll probably be,
I don't know.
You'll probably be around 35 to 40.
Yeah.
But so you don't have a second bike, so you're just going to keep putting the mileage on that bike. But I'll be doing definitely more Street Scrambler stuff when we're done traveling, just to save the wear and tear on the 1200. And I'll probably like before we ship the bikes overseas for both of them, we'll probably like go through and maybe just like, so neither one of my Triumphs have ever had to change the clutch. The clutch is still good on both. So, but that's something I'll probably just do. And, you know, I mean, if you're a Ducati tech, you tell me. There's probably a bunch of stuff. I think I'm probably have to do my fork seals on my 1200 before then. But if not, basically when we're in New Orleans, I'm going to go through and just freshen up both of my Triumphs. But then I'll mainly ride the Street Scrambler, except for when I am doing certain adventures that the 1200 is going to be better on. I want to do a lot more like adventure riding. It's hard to do that with Caitlin because it wouldn't be fair to take her on anything too crazy. Like, you know, we're going to be going through Moab, but, you know, we're not going to get into...
well, especially after the road from hell, we're not as eager to be seeking out unnecessary adventures if we don't know the exact conditions of the road. So, because we don't want to do that again.
Yeah, maybe in the future,
we learned our lesson.
Maybe in the future, America and I can do a bunch of BDRs together. I mean, I'm thinking when we're coming down from New England, we'll probably do the MA BDR because I think that's going to be fine for Caitlin. But that's probably going to be one of the only BDRs for her. Maybe I think Idaho is not too bad.
Except I was just watching the Oregon one, the new one, and there are a couple spots that I was like, I don't know. But everything else, I'm like, I don't know. That looks pretty good compared to what we did in Mexico. Like, that looks fine.
No, that road in Mexico was gnarly. Yeah, Jelly, I it's funny you say that because the video that comes out tomorrow, it's just going over my Scrambler 1200 and the kind of the changes I made to it. I titled it the perfect scrambler for overlanding. So I'm trying to bring in interest from that market if we can. Trying to generate some curiosity. So yeah, man, the Ducatis. Did you follow Henry Crew? Henry Crew, when he went around the world on his Ducati desert sled. We met him in New Orleans because he was stuck in New Orleans for a while because like the engine blew, and his clutch went out after like 2,000 miles, like pretty quick, which was I guess common for those desert sleds. You probably could tell me more. And then he got stuck in New Orleans for a while just because his like engine blew or something happened with the engine, and he had complications because he couldn't like change bikes because he was going for a world record, which he got. And so he got stuck in New Orleans for like a month. But it's fortunate for us because we got to hang out with him and stuff. And
yeah, he was really cool.
Yeah, he's a cool young dude. And unfortunately, his Ducati got stolen. I mean, technically, it wasn't even his; it was Ducati's. But they were letting him hold on to it still. I don't know if indefinite or what the deal was, but they were letting him hold on to it, and then it got stolen out of his parents' property, which is unfortunate because who cares about the value of that bike, but the sentimental value.
Yeah.
If my Steel over there has my street scrambler right now, but if something happened to my street scrambler, I'd just be bummer just because like my goal for that bike is just to ride it always, and one day it doesn't, the engine's done, either replace the engine and let it keep going, or it's like a showroom piece in a living room.
Mm-hmm.
It's with a it's gonna be the same thing with a 1200. It's like it's we got memories, traveling on it, and good stuff and bad stuff that we've gone through. So
yeah, and yes, it does suck. I always wonder why it's so difficult for people to not touch things that don't belong to them. It's not that difficult. We learn it when we're little.
Yeah. So I mean, we've had no issues with. So if we don't have like alarms or anything on our bikes. So if we're in a kind of a sketch area, we just lock the steering column, and then we take a steel cable and we'll go through both of our bikes, and we've had no problems yet. And in fact, when we crashed and broke my ankle and we were stuck in Insurgentes for a few days, they were parked right outside of a main highway in Mexico. Yeah, so I mean, they were just advertising, but we had no issues. So I'm kind of more nervous about England actually when we're there, but yeah, so far we've had no problems. But it's also, I don't know, maybe our bikes aren't that appealing. Someone probably looks at my bike and is like, "Nah, it's too heavy. I'm not bothering." So, yeah.
Hi, Michael. Yeah, so we're looking to do more filming. He had said like maybe doing more filming than writing and trying to do more of a documentary in kind of style, more kind of like a On Any Sunday.
Yeah, I want like a modern On Any Sunday that's kind of like fun and kind of tells the story on the Red River Scramble because it's a cool story. So I gotta start planning it too, actually. But I want to focus from the beginning. So like, Drew and what he has to do to prepare for it, and how he scouts the routes, and how he chooses the rating for the stuff, and then the event itself. So for sure, we'll be there. We'll be there regardless, and we'll be filming regardless. If I pull off the level of quality I want, or no, it's a different story. But yeah, my plan is kind of mostly be filming more of this Red River Scramble, covering the story, doing a really good job on it, and then covering really cool footage of people riding on road and off road. So I plan on riding around and just filming. We had a nice mirrorless camera when we got back from Mexico. So like the film quality is ridiculous. We get out of this thing. Now I got to learn color grading because we're shooting in raw C-Log now. But the quality coming off the camera is just fantastic. Our other camera was at 1080, and this one's actually 6K. It down reses to 4K, and it looks fantastic. It's got image stabilization in the camera and in the lens. I mean, invested in a nice lens, and then we have we have the drone. I wish I had like a FPV drone. Although with all the trees in Kentucky, that might not go so well. Yeah, I'm totally nerding out. But yeah, I want to get to the point where we start doing kind of more like, film quality stuff. I'm a big fan of channels like Fort9. Obviously, they do.
Oh yeah.
Everyone knows Fort9 does great videos. We all watch them when they come out, right? So Amanda, which is As the Magpie Flies, does great videos. Her cinematography is awesome. Her storytelling is awesome. There's a lot of non-motorcycle channels that we look to for inspiration. Yes Theory is one of them. They do a really good job telling stories and having emotional impact, which is what we want.
Karen Nate.
Yeah, they have some good stuff. They have a really good one when they just did like a thing on monkey bikes. Actually,
that was really
they don't travel on motorcycles, but that was a good one. Hey, Dave. No, we never made it to the Balloon Fest because
it ended up, well, it was raining the whole time we were in Roswell, and so most of the ascensions for the day kept like not happening. So we ended up opting out that weekend and went camping instead at some sand dunes because for where we were going to have to tent camp, and it was going to cost like $80 to camp in cold mud for it may or may not to even happen. So we decided to camp for $3 out in the sand dunes outside of Roswell, and it was really fun. And I got to go in side by side, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I think
Thanks,
also,
Alex.
I don't think Caitlin really wanted to get up at like the crack of dawn to get there for the ascension anyway.
I would have rather have stayed up to the crack.
Yeah, I mean, so the Balloon Festival, it's still on the bucket list of something to do. So, and Ducati Tech, yeah, I mean, we really want to. We're probably not going to do Albuquerque this year. Probably not going to go back to New Mexico, but we want to because I want to go to that brewery that's Broken Arrow. It's so good. B, I want to do more stuff in New Mexico because we really like New Mexico. And C, I would love to do a video and interview with oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on his name all of a sudden. The stunt rider that's based out of Albuquerque.
No idea.
The guy that raced the 1200 in the NOR 1000, and I'm completely Ernie Vigil. Yeah, I'd love to try to hit him up and do a story on him and get some cool shots of what that guy can do on sport bikes and he's got a Scrambler 100. So because he did stuff for Triumph. Yeah, maybe get some pointers about racing one off road before the Bill 100 next year.
Ooh, in West Virginia. So I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. So Charleston Unite.
Yeah.
Thanks.
West Virginia is a nice state. Yeah. That's a really underrated state.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I would like to spend more time in West Virginia too. We've only went through it a little bit.
Yeah, and if you, Michael, I don't know if you've ever been to Eastern Kentucky before, like the Red River Gorge area where the Red River Scramble happens. But it's very similar to a lot of West Virginia. We have the haulers, and you have no service when you're in there, and all that kind of stuff. Sean, I think we were originally planning on being in Massachusetts in like October. So we're going to do it after the Red River Scramble. I think, pending on how things go, we're probably going to hit Massachusetts now earlier than planned, maybe beginning of September, because like financially, we're probably just going to get to places where we can stay, for free with friends and family, and just to save money, and I also think my mom needs some help around the house, so we'll get to Massachusetts at the latest early October, and be there probably all October. And then, possible we'll get there like early September and be there for September, go down the Red River Scramble, and then be there in October. I have to work in New York City, I think towards the end of October. So it's just easier if we just stay up there anyway, and then we'll let the cold kind of push us back down and make our way to South Carolina. Yeah, for sure, man. Where are you in Connecticut? We almost moved to
Windsor Locks.
Yeah, was it East Windsor Locks or just Windsor Locks?
Windsor Locks was on the address.
Yeah, near Harvard. Okay, yeah. So,
in Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
Yeah, right on. Yeah. Well, so at least October, if not September, and we're gonna be close. We're gonna be to Hartford. We're gonna be staying in West Springfield, Massachusetts, and we'll go and do some stuff, here and there on weekends. We'll go out to certain places in New England, for hunting for stories or adventure. But for the most part, home base will be West Springfield, Massachusetts. So pretty close for the time that we're in Massachusetts, which will probably be September and October. So yeah, hit us up. If I forget, message me on Instagram or something, or contact us through email. It's on the YouTube page. So
contact at Scrambler Stories.
Yeah.
Contact at scramblerstories.com. Yeah, thanks for liking our music. We try to have fun with it and pick music that's appropriate. So sometimes we have more rock style music, and other times we have K-pop. So whatever fits best.
Yeah, whatever's appropriate.
We definitely have some fun videos coming up, which I'm really excited about. I hope they do well, because we had really fun making them and editing them. So, and we watched them and laughed hysterically. So
yeah, I know at least on one video, Jim complimented the music choices was really good.
Cool.
So he was a fan. See you, Merrick. I'll see you soon. A few more months, unless you want to fly out to take a week off and fly out to Alaska, rent a bike and do a little traveling with us. Oh, you're in Maryland right now. Right on. Hog Rock. I've never heard of Hog Rock before. Yeah, it would be expensive. And Dave, I forget where you're based out of. Do you remember? You probably don't remember. I have a way better memory than you, and I don't remember. I just remember talking about his like custom built trailers and da-da-da.
Yeah.
I don't remember where you're based out of. Missouri. Okay. I was going to go farther south. And
I haven't been to Missouri, have I? Yeah. In general. I don't think I've been to Missouri.
Yeah, you've been to Missouri.
I have?
Not on a motorcycle.
Not on a motorcycle, but in general, I have.
Yeah. Remember we went to St. Louis and then we had barbecue?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which then you thought that was Kansas?
Yeah.
So
close enough, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But you haven't been to Missouri on a motorcycle. So
and
I haven't been to Missouri on a motorcycle either. So I've been to Missouri multiple times, but not on a motorcycle. There's 3 states that I've been to, but not on a motorcycle. Wyoming, Montana, and Missouri, and the rest I've been to. So Hawaii, hey Matt. So yeah, Hawaii, I haven't been to at all. So never been. Other 49 states I've been to, and of those 49 states, 46 of them I've been to on a motorcycle. So hopefully we cross off Missouri, Wyoming, and Montana for me, and then Wyoming and Montana will be your first time even visiting those states.
Yep. And Idaho.
Yeah, we get her to 49. That's the goal. I hope to. So I think we'll probably be in the Kansas City area at some point in August. Because even if we have to kind of head east pretty quickly, I would like to at least drop down into Colorado for a week and then head east so we can stop at least Kansas City for some barbecue. I think it's Joe's, right? Joe's is the barbecue place that's in the like an old gas station, and I think it's the original Joe's. And man, that was we both are big fan of burnt ends. So
him a little bit more than me, but
yeah,
that's the only kind of brisket I'll do pretty much. Burnt ends, crispy.
Yeah, Joe's is the best. So Oh, okay, Dave is close. So in
Okay.
Missouri, but oh, cool. Yeah, so we'll probably pass through there. I would imagine we will. And then it's just a matter of, are we going to head straight kind of to New England, stay with a friend in Indiana, then go up
Okay.
to a friend in Toronto, and then
Down it.
and yeah, and then over to Massachusetts, or can we kind of really quickly zigzag a bunch of states to cross them off for her? That would be good.
Oh, Bessinger's is good in Charleston. You gotta love that mustard-based barbecue.
Yeah, I
That's what
mean,
I grew up with, is the mustard-based.
ooh, if I had to pick between Joe's and Bessinger's, I would probably pick Joe's. But Bessinger's, they're not. They're it's a different kind of good. It's really good, but it's different.
Yeah, they're kind of, I guess, probably different animals. I mean, mustard-based is very different than most else, and but
Yeah,
Bessinger's, it's pretty on up there.
but burnt ends is really good.
Little
There's a
Joe pork.
there's a place in San Antonio that is like a hybrid between like Texas and Kansas City that is really good, and they got really good burnt ends. I'm a big fan of burnt ends. Burnt ends is probably like my number one thing if they have it. So anytime a barbecue place has burnt ends and they do it really good, um, it's great. But yeah, like Matt said, he likes the mustard base. I really like the mustard base. Uh,
You were a little skeptical at first on the mustard base, and then you had a bite, and you're like, "Oh wow!"
yeah, then every time I visit Charleston, I'd be like, "We gotta get Messengers. We gotta get some Messengers. It's really good." So definitely worth stopping. Nah, Dave, we're not going to Sturgis.
At least
Uh,
not this year.
yeah, because we would have to basically haul ass from where we're going to be to get to Sturgis, and we also Amanda's thing. If we make it to it, it's like the first weekend of Sturgis. And I would assume that we probably can't afford Sturgis. Probably all the places
Yeah.
that are closer booked. I want to do a story on Sturgis, so maybe next year. I kind of want to focus more on like the city and what's it like before and after, specifically kind of after, Sturgis after the rally. Um, I'm curious about what it's like. I definitely want to ride the area, having been through that area before a few times. Um, the Black Hills is great. It doesn't make sense financially for us to do it because how much expensive it would cost for Caitlin to just basically go and hang out. And it's also in like middle of July. So timing wise, since we're doing Alaska now later than we planned to do it, it wouldn't be possible for us to even make it at this point. Not without me, not unless I could leave my job tomorrow. If we won the lottery, which I'm not even sure if Utah does lottery, but if we win the lottery and I could leave my job tomorrow, maybe. But I would like to do the what's it called, ADV Fest that Revzilla
Yeah.
puts on, and they put it on the same area as Sturgis, but it's definitely more riding off road. Yeah, Sturgis in August. The ADV Fest is in July. It's in the same area, but it's more adventure riding off road, that kind of jam. It's only one weekend too. It's definitely not anywhere near as big as Sturgis, but it's a completely different scene. It's all adventure bikes, riding off road, and so that's like one thing. Like obviously, anyone that's been to Sturgis, they know that South Dakota, Western South Dakota, that area has amazing roads for motorcycles, but it also has amazing off road for motorcycles. So, and that's the perfect thing about like a bike like mine is we can do both
Yep.
really well, and then your bike can do the roads really well and it can do the off-road pretty good to the ground clearance and suspension travel catches up to her. um yeah, Matt, definitely go to Bessinger's. 100%. We'll give you a few
Yeah,
recommendations
we'll
on
give you
places
some
to eat
recommendations.
in Charleston, but Bessinger's is a definite. I would say the that New Orleans restaurant. I can't think of the name of
Lola.
Lola. Yeah,
And I'll ask my mom and stuff too, because restaurants pop up so very quickly and stuff. So she might know some new restaurants or restaurants that we haven't been to, and just places to go to that maybe she has gone to and knows there's a lot of good places. A lot of good places in Charleston.
yep. All right. Should we wind this down since it's almost 2 hours?
Yeah, I guess so.
It's a long. We're chatty people, so it's not hard to keep us talking.
Talking.
Yeah, we started doing some like kind of group chats with our other motorcycle YouTube channels, and we're probably very guilty of making those go a lot longer than they need to be because we're just chatting with people. Um, the other thing that we're doing that'll be probably announced soon. We're also kind of give you a little teaser for stuff. We are uh, uh, collaborating with some other motorcycle YouTube channels on a channel. And
A channel and website.
Yep, and that stuff will be coming out in the next few weeks. So, uh, uh, we'll be seeing that stuff, and yeah, you'll probably see us with some other people that doing some things starting soon, starting in a few weeks.
Yeah,
I
mid-June.
imagine. Yeah, 16th right now is the plan. We'll see if that stays that way. But
Yeah.
either way, it's coming very soon. And we're pretty excited about that. It's more on our plate, but it's a pretty fun project, and
Yeah,
I'm excited for it. I'm excited for what we've done so far for it. So
me too.
and the other people that are part of the project are all really cool. A lot of you will know the channels for sure, and if you don't, you'll definitely enjoy them. No, don't know Craig Ripley. Living off the slab. I feel like I've heard that name before, but I definitely haven't seen any videos from him.
Yeah,
we'll check them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think successful first stream. We had more than 5 people. That makes me happy. I was scared nobody would be here, and we peaked at like 14 or 15. So, and I know some big channels that get 100 people and have like almost 50,000 subscribers. So it's probably a pretty good ratio for us, especially because I don't know, live just talking is.
So yeah,
we're not gaming. We're not reacting. So yeah. For sure. Okay. Well, if anyone
Yes, you on the all can.
Yeah. Hey, message us on Instagram or through our email here on the channel. And yeah, just in case we can meet up at some point, or if you do have any other questions, if you're worried about like fuel mileage, as long as no gas stations are closed in Canada, you're not gonna have a problem there. It's just the Dalton. You need it after Coldfoot.
Thanks, Jelly.
So yeah. Craig is in East Mass. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, okay. I'll look up
We'll look up his channel.
I'll look at the channel. Man, it sounds definitely familiar. I don't know if I've seen something or not, but we'll look it up and then hit him up when we're in Massachusetts, my home state. Yep. All right, everyone. Thanks for
coming out and chatting with us.
Yeah, and being nice, and we appreciate that, and it does mean a lot to us. So
I'm just glad people showed up.
Yeah, just so everyone knows, we're not taking anything for granted. We promise.
Yeah, we are definitely thanking our stars right now.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, even if we never.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Hey, by the way, that's our very first super chat.
Woohoo! Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so. I don't even know. I think it's a super chat, and that'd be our very first one in history.
Woohoo!
So appreciate it. But yeah.
Have a good night, Sean.
Yeah, we appreciate everyone, and
we appreciate just your support and everything for the channel and kind of keeping us going and doing this. And
we enjoy making the videos for creativity's sake, even if we never hit to a point where we can do it full time. We never get to Itchy Boots' level, which is like ridiculous how big she is, or even 100,000 subscribers. The fact that we're approaching 9,000 right now is super cool, because maybe one day we'll do a video talking about it. But I literally just uploaded the first couple of videos for fun. I had no really like grand scheme on the YouTube channel. It was just a couple of things I did for fun, and really enjoyed the creativity side of things. Being very new to video, coming from like a music background, it was a different, because I work in music, it was a nice creative outlet to be able to put videos out, like kind of like writing a song. But our videos have reached a lot more people than my music ever has. So it's been really cool. And yeah, we enjoy making the videos, whether it ever takes off or not, it doesn't even matter. It'd be great if it did.
Yeah. But it's been
so we're working
fun for us.
to try to take it more serious. We got a lot to learn on the business side of things, but we're slowly getting there. But the content we're really getting the content down, in my opinion. So the next few videos, when you see them coming out, I think it'll be obvious. The story videos when they come out, like the Roswell one in a week, next Friday. I think it's a really fun video, and those ones are all great. And then we get to like the Mexico stuff, we get some serious adventure going on. So I'm really happy with where we've been going as a channel. And then, to do the like kind of bigger video ideas, the more like moto films next year, or maybe some this year, I'm excited for, because I think it's really cool. Yeah. So, regardless, sometimes it's annoying on YouTube when you see someone does really well and their stuff maybe isn't that high quality. Maybe their storytelling isn't very good, but whatever reason it works out, good for them. I'm happy if it doesn't work out for us, but we make really good content.
Yeah.
So, but all right, we got to get packing because we have a few hours to pack, and then tomorrow morning we're taking off very early.
Yes,
so
because we have a lot to see tomorrow. So we're going to Bryce and the Singing Canyon. So I'm very excited about that.
We're gonna make her sing.
Oh.
And the Roswell video next week, she's singing in it. So look out for that one. And yeah, and we also want to get in the hot tub here one more time before we go. Yes. So take advantage of that one last time, because now we're going to be camping all the time.
Yeah.
So financially we have to. So yeah, but again, thanks everyone, and take care.
Yes, they are alive with the sound of music for sure.
All right, take care
and scramble on.
Yeah, set you up. All right, now I gotta figure out how to end this. Peace out.
Bye everybody.